Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Red Short webinar. Today's webinar, we will be discussing Darkweb trends. These trends were analyzed using REDPANE, which is our Darkweb search engine tool, and CTAC, our Cyber Threat Analysis Center. A link to a related article will be made available shortly after today's presentation at the link posted on the slide here. Oh, darn, I just lost my notes. Sorry, bear with me one moment, folks. Okay, so what is REDPANE? REDPANE is a dark web search engine tool that we have been developing since late January of this year. One of the interesting things about REDPANE is we are able to make the data from the dark web available to our analysts without the need for them to touch the dark web or visit any onion sites over the Tor network. To date, we have over 300,000 data points on over 50 dark web sites that we're monitoring. With REDPANE, we've developed custom processes that capture text data from these dark sites that we designate. It then parses that information into a format that we can then add to CTAC, our Cyber Threat Analysis Center. CTAC uses Elasticsearch on the back end, which makes it extremely easy to query the data that we've gathered. And then we can also run analytics on it using Kibana. And everything that you're going to see today was generated from our REDPANE collection and using the CTAC analytics. Speaking of the data, we do ingest a fair amount of non-English language content, and we're currently working on a project that will translate that data and then make both the English language version and the original language version available for reference. Taking a look at the pie chart here, we see our REDPANE collection broken down by site type. As you see, we currently ingest data from dark web discussion forums, marketplaces, and ransomware sites. And discussion forum posts do make up a large part of the REDPANE content. And while we certainly do see a lot of noise on discussion forums, we do find valuable data there as well. For example, at the bottom of the slide, we see a post from the Best Carding World forum that exposes Netflix credentials for several users. This entry also exposes the payment method that the Netflix customer used for billing, which for 2 of the 4 cases here is PayPal. And as we all know, password reuse is a big problem. So if the compromised Netflix user here is using the same password on their PayPal account, that PayPal account is very likely to have also been compromised. And this is just one of many forums that we have data for in REDPANE. On this slide, we see the top 5 most active dark web sites for each of those site types that I mentioned, and this is over the past 4 months. For discussion forums, we see the most activity on the Colchan forum, the DNM Avengers forum, Dread forum, Simple Machine forum, and the Hub forum. As far as dark net marketplaces go, UASRDP Market tops our list, which deals strictly in the sale of compromised remote desktop protocol credentials for hosts that are publicly accessible over the internet. White House Market, which is a general marketplace. 0 Day Today, which it's a bit of a misnomer calling this a marketplace because 0 Day Today offers software exploits, but it offers them free of charge. And then rounding out that list, we have Cartel Market and ASAP Market, both of which are general marketplaces And lastly, looking at the ransomware sites, we see the most activity for these 5 ransomware strains: Pisa, Revil, Avedon, Nephilim, and Clop. Looking at the most active marketplaces, looking at the categories on those marketplaces, we see web applications tops the list. Now this category, after examining the data there, that data primarily comes from a site named 0 Day Today Market, which, as I stated, offers software exploits, and the web applications category offers specifically web application exploits. And we see a sample of that in the top right. A random sampling of the exploits that we found there show them to be sourced from various places across the ClearNet, including exploitdb.com and various cybersecurity blog posts. So while this information may not be unique to this dark web marketplace, it does provide an anonymous way for attackers to download working exploit code without exposing themselves or their activities on the ClearNet where their downloads might be logged. Other categories, such as remote exploits and local exploits, provide access to similar materials. And then categories like various logins provides compromised account credentials. The digital goods category offers items for sale, digital items such as instructional materials on how to commit cybercrime, pirated software, pirated video collections, and also database dumps. Here we took a look at the most active users on the top 5 most active marketplaces where a vendor name is listed. And we see some users operating on multiple marketplaces. For example, Gold Apple is active on both the World Market and ASAP Market, while a user named Drunk Dragon is active on both the ASAP Market and the White House markets. This is likely done to build brand loyalty with customers, but it also makes it easier for our analysts to track threat actor activities across multiple marketplaces. Okay, looking at ransomware, here on the left we see a list of domains for the most active ransomware listings, and these domains are ones that have seen the most activity on their respective ransomware sites. We looked a little deeper at the DassaultFalcon.com breach. We see in the upper right the attacker's intent was to release data piecemeal. So as time goes on and the organization decides not to pay the ransom, more and more data will be made available for free on the dark web. It's really not a new extortion tactic, but it is something that we've seen. However, also in the case of Dassault, we find an interesting collaboration between the Mount Locker and Ragnar Locker groups in marketing this stolen data. At the bottom of the slide, we see both Mount Locker and Ragnar Locker have Dassault data listed for sale, and Mount Locker actually names Ragnar Locker as a partner and links to the Ragnar Locker page in their listing. In some cases, these listings will include the size of the data dump in gigabytes, as well as information about what kind of data it is. We don't see that in every listing. It just depends on what the attacker adds to their description. But in the case of Dassault, the Ragnar Locker site displays images of stolen documents to prove authenticity. Now, these images are not available in REDPANE. We only capture text data, so manual analysis of the source site is required to see anything that's not text data. So looking at some correlations we see between our Darkweb collection, known as REDPANE, and some of our other collections, we wanted to look at the Colonial Pipeware ransomware breach because we do capture data from the DarkSide ransomware site, which has been blamed for this particular ransomware breach. We did not find anything related to Colonial Pipeline posted on the DarkSide ransomware site, which could be a support for their claim that it wasn't the DarkSide group themselves that attacked Colonial, but one of their affiliates. Not 100% sure who's ultimately responsible. Obviously, DarkSide group did provide the infrastructure. We would not be surprised if the DarkSide group tries to pressure their partner into giving up the encryption keys to turn over to Colonial free of charge, simply because of all the negative press and the U.S. government response to this attack on critical infrastructure. It's obviously too late for a gesture of goodwill like that to make any difference, but we plan to continue to monitor the DarkSide site to see how it plays out. It'll also be interesting to see if any other data appears for sale or released for free of charge in the underground. Having said that, we do see in our collections, specifically our breach data collection, 46 compromised credentials for domains belonging to Colonial Pipeline over the past year. The majority were contained in the large Comb breach, compilation of many breaches that was released in February of this year. However, 16 credentials have been available since May of 2020 and have been actively used with credential stuffing software tools to try to gain access to accounts where passwords have been reused. And this could have been a contributing factor for the attackers to gain an initial foothold into Colonial's networks before deploying their ransomware payload. So in summation today, we see from Darkweb activities, we see ransomware, password reuse, and publicly accessible remote desktop protocol systems to be the top 3 threats to cybersecurity today. And that's really all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the material and found it useful. If you missed any of our previous Red Shorts, you can find them at redskyalliance.org. If you're not a member yet, you'll need to sign up, but your membership is free and it will give you access to all types of Red Sky Alliance content. Please join us next week for an encore presentation. And I lost my note on what presentation that will be, but check back with us then. Thanks.